Welcome and good evening to Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is Raph streaming to you live, high above the keep in the hot air balloon. Tonight, as always, I have Neindorf with me. Neindorf, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Trying to stay inside with all this crazy smoke we've been having from the fires in Canada.
I'm allergic to Canadian smoke.
Have you seen the chart or like there's a web page where they like show the where the plume is going?
Uh,
I
I have not.
Oh, it's kind of fascinating. It's like all the way over to like Portugal and then all the way down into Mexico. It's a big deal.
That's wild. That's a lot of trees. Um,
Yes, sir.
okay, so good evening, everyone in YouTube. I hope you're doing well. And we're really excited for tonight's podcast. We have a special reveal that we're going to do here at the end tonight. Um, and so maybe we'll keep the dev dive section a little shorter. But I guess tell me what you're building right now, and I'll kind of explain some of the things that I've been working on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's been I probably touched on this a little bit last time, but as the hero growth has kind of continued to go up, we're kind of having a little bit of growth pains on the site too. Anything that hits the API has kind of slowed down a little bit over time, so I'm still working that in the background. Otherwise, I'm attempting to make some of our queries more efficient and a little more speedy. And one of the big reasons is kind of what we're going to reveal later is I kind of want to make those response times on the site a little faster for possibly more clicks that people may or may not want to do here in the future.
I love that. Yeah, and I appreciate, the tip of the hand towards what we're going to talk about later, and also the work that you're doing with the um, pulling down stuff for the website. The thing that I've been working on building lately, I'm starting to teach myself, having Chat GPT teach myself JavaScript, or excuse me, not Java, Python. And so I've been
Nice.
working on creating a series of like Python scripts within Python scripts to help because I'm lazy and I end up spending more time than I otherwise would have. But that isn't that the best part of every project, where it ends up actually making you less efficient. But what I found is like with 450 heroes right now, um, like it takes me a sizable amount of time, and I'm doing a lot of summoning, especially with my advanced abilities. Now I'm at the phase of the game where I'm picking through a lot of stragglers, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna dark summon these guys together, and then I get a new guy. So about 50 heroes in my roster are changing on a weekly basis, I would say, and I just can't keep up with leveling up all the guys and trying to keep them on the bot. So I'm building a script to download the CSV file from the website that says like these are all my heroes, and then to hopefully put them into the JSON file that your bot code can read, and there I'll go. So it's been a lot of fun. I've done very little coding in my life, like one class in college of C++. So it's been fun for me. I will say ChatGPT, it's been helpful for a beginner, but it definitely takes some level to really leverage it. So that's what I've been working on in the background, and of course our secret project as well.
Yeah, it was cool. You showed me the script you coaxed out of ChatGPT. I'm like, yeah, I'm like that. Yeah, that's a pretty passable script. As a pretty seasoned coder, I can. There's things I would change, but it's 100% functional. And I was kind of impressed that you got it to build the right structured JSON out of your prompts. So it's kind of cool to see that capability because writing a script is something that it kind of sounds simple when you just say it like that, but there's so much detail that goes into it, syntax, structure, and all that. And I think that's the beauty of what ChatGPT offers.
Yeah, what I found is it gets a lot harder the more things that I layer in, and it wants to like call the CSV file, organize it for one sub option, and then like not forget that organization that it did when it goes to the next option. And so that's what I'm struggling with the most. And so I found that probably my poor man's way around this has been I'm just creating separate Python scripts for each of the sub functions and then creating a master function to call those. So
Oh, there you
um,
go.
yeah, it's been I don't know. I'm finding probably harder than usual workarounds to solve simple problems. It's just fascinating all the things you can do out there. I was using it. I actually decided for work I was going to spring to test out the $20 a month Chat GPT option, and they're starting to add plugins. And I wouldn't say there's a lot of great plugins out there. One of them was watching YouTube videos. So if you ever get bored of listening to us talk on ADFK, you can always throw it into ChatGPT. You can actually use this YouTube search plugin, punch in the YouTube link, and then it will give you a summary of what you talked about in the last video. And so I actually did this for the last video I did for hero building, and I was like, holy cow, it was very succinct. I'm sure it sounded a lot more coherent than my video did live. So um, I was quite impressed. I threw it in a few other YouTube videos, and I thought it was just kind of funny how some people have the art of having an entire video and really not saying anything. I mean, usually I would say we fall into that bucket and category too. But it was funny, like
Uh,
watching people like promote things in the crypto space, and as you watch like the summary of their video, they're just saying, I like this coin. I like this coin. This is not financial advice. I like that people are doing this or that. And it's like, wait a second, there was nothing there was nothing impressive about that. So it kind of like
no
it
substance.
really strips it away. So I thought it was interesting. I don't know if I'll incorporate that all the time to do, my standard viewing or YouTubing. But I might. It seems like it's an efficiency tool for sure. So I'm really excited to see what else ChatGPT has in store in the future. All right, so there was an AMA today. I got to catch the first like 20 minutes of it tops, and then kind of my life went into a little bit of chaos here at the Raph household. You got to watch a little more of it than I did. Um, Kind of walk me through. I got to see the first part, so I'll prompt you with what I think, and then I'll let you walk through the rest of it with me. So I got to hear the first question for Hubert about the stone carver and whether the stone carver will create the advanced stones. I thought that was a really interesting answer. I was really thinking the direction based on the podcast that we had with Hubert, that the direction things were going is that, you might be able to get an advanced stone carver on your land. They didn't say that might not be the case, but it seems like there are going to be other ways than the stone carver to be introducing a few more greater stones into the ecosystem. Maybe an indication towards prizes for PvP or PvE would be my guess. What are your thoughts there?
No, I think you're right on the money. I don't think anything that he said does preclude it from being land-based, which I think is an important thing to note. I that almost feels like a natural thing where, the free stone carver, if you will, no travel required, can get you lessers at the castle or in town rather. But you want to go to the next level, well, then you got to leave with your hero and you got to travel out into you know, some person's land or, kingdom and actually do something there. So I think there is a good, I think it's how I'm trying to struggling with the words here. I think it's going to be part of playing the game is getting those more advanced items, I think. And I would love to see that something that you actually have to play for a little bit. And maybe that's what we're talking about with PvE there or they're going to obviously continue to give them away as rewards for things like duels, but I think the volume there is just so low that I don't it doesn't really move the needle in terms of as a player you can't bank on some of that if that makes sense.
I agree. The ecosystem for stones, it feels like, is at an all-time dry level right now. I was trying to message O'Cool and see if I could buy some off of him.
There
Um,
you go.
where I'm at with my hero build quest is I'm starting to get, like this guy I have up on screen right now, a rare thief with Blast Stand and Giant Slayer. Um, and so I'm starting to get more and more rares, and that was kind of my goal as I was talking about on that last podcast. Um, get rares and then summon two rares together with two elite abilities each, and you get a 50% chance that your offspring will have two elite abilities. Of course, if you dark summon, then you'll have your rarity. You'll at least be a rare. And then if you use a greater stone, you will have a hero with a greater stone. And if they're both level 5, you'll get another +1 to each of those heroes. So you'll get +8 on the total initial stats and a lot of percentage points in your growth if it lands in the right places. And then if you use a atonement crystal, you'll get 2 more percentage points, or is it 4 more percentage points to your total growth. So that's kind of what 2 more stat points, right? Yeah, that's what it is. And
Right.
that's kind of my strategy in a nutshell. So what else did you
Yeah.
well,
And before we go
comment
to
on that
the
if you'd
next
like? Yeah.
Yeah. Before we go on to the next one, I was gonna say I think the big thing is that concept of trading up, and I think that was kind of, we talked about this a while back about
Right.
those economic levels, and how do you get from these meager fishing and foraging items to the next tier of items to the next tier of items, and then all of a sudden, wow, you've got a greater stone or crystal somehow. So I think there will be pathways for that, and I think that's kind of, you know, it sounded as if they're actively talking and having meetings about how some of these trade up mechanisms might work, which I think is great.
And as we've talked about, numerous times, really healthy for the game, because it starts to make sure that you're not undercutting. I feel like it doesn't slow power creep, but it slows how power creep could hurt the economy, because you need those feeder items to get you to those stronger items. It's not like all of a sudden level 0 quests are entirely worthless. So I really like how that entire building system works. Go check out our kind of Econ 101 episode from a couple months back, and we really dive into that in detail.
Yeah, and I do feel like there could for sure be a hero burning mechanic involved in that if they really chose to. That's something that they kind of slowly walked back a little bit, their concern of, and maybe that segues into the next AMA topic a little bit. They did talk a little bit about, the gas on the chain is high, and what are their options? They have other subnets on DFK chain or other chains on the subnet DFK. They talked about, the down the road possibility of yet another chain. So I think that's something to keep in mind, that they are, as they said themselves, pushing the tech here. And I think it's awesome to be on a, a game where the devs are, they're not only trying to make a game that's fun and engaging and deep, extremely deep, by the way, but they're also pushing technology and blockchain fast and furious. So as kind of a tech junkie, I kind of love to see all the stuff they're coming up with, and how they're, even the diamond contracts, which I know Fox talked about and is very nerdy, but to me is another really cool thing.
And I mean, this is part of why we want to build on this ecosystem. This is what they're doing here is special, and I think there's a lot of space.
All right, so we talked about. I'm just kind of looking over my notes here a
Yeah.
little bit. Um, Expeditions came up again a little bit, kind of related to that gas, because I think Fox had kind of really briefly thrown it out that that's another way. It's more of a long-term hero staking, and they talked about some of the mechanics on, well, how are level ups with expeditions going to work? Are you just going to have to pop them out? And they're like, no, it'll be obvious, and you'll know what's happening. So I think that's a really important thing for people with a lot of heroes to keep, look out for, especially if you don't really want to pay for a bot. It's kind of one of those things right now that's almost a necessary evil, I would say, if you have a large hero hold. And I would say maybe you, Raph, you didn't probably intend to get that many, but when you're trying to go for all these combinations, it requires a lot of ground level heroes to build your pyramid. Isn't that right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way of putting it. You're certainly, um, you are, and I'm starting I'm starting already by just buying elites that are
Right.
high rarity chances, and it's one of those things that if you're bullish on the game, I feel like you can sell some of the decent heroes that you summon, but the floor heroes that you end up summoning that are profession questers, like, you might as well just layer them into your army. Like, those are sunk costs. It makes no
Right.
sense to try to recover that at a floor value in my mind. So you might as well hold on to them and try to recover some of their value, because they are the most expensive floor questers that you'll ever get. And so why not
Well, yeah,
just put them to work, and hopefully they pull in some eggs, some tears, or whatever else it is.
a couple mokshas later, and they've hard helped work off their debt.
Yeah, there you go. I'm
All
lucky that
right.
I had the leveling up turned off for so long, that
Oh
I
yeah,
was lazy, that I'm still hanging on to 56 moksha. I'm feeling like a real baller right now.
that's some solid jewel right there if you were to sell.
Yeah, if only I could do something with these story pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, there'll be a 10th someday.
Yeah. All right. So, do you want to talk about? Can I announce our secret project?
Well, I'm just trying to look at my notes here if
Oh,
there's
okay.
anything else. Oh, yeah, one last point before we transition. They were it, there was a Dreamer had a good conversation, in my opinion, about what is the play between the decks that DFK is built upon. And, it's basically at the heart of decks with heroes and quests around it at the moment. And this new feature they're calling the Bazaar, which is kind of like the marketplace for you can
Mm-hmm.
where you can do limit buys or sells, and someone else can fulfill them. It He did a really good job of explaining it as the two kind of feed each other. It's not that the bazaar is going to steal traffic from the decks. It's kind of a it's kind of a market optimization where sometimes the decks just doesn't fit right, but it's our only tool right now, so we kind of have to use it. Like, yeah, the low liquidity items are the obvious one,
Right.
where if you have to go and you got to make a 30% market impact to buy one, it's like, okay, this is not the right system for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think go listen to the AMA, but he did really good, more than I'll be able to explain here. But I think the long and short of it was basically that with two tools in the toolbox, far as trading and bartering for items with other players, this will be more natural, and that they're not going to detract from each other, but they're going to boost the whole system. So I think
That's awesome.
that was a really good talk, I think.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm trying to buy some Crater Stones. Those would be great examples of those low liquidity items for sure.
Yeah, and now you have to go out and like hassle people kind of sometimes, and you got to be willing to send them your crystal before they send you an item, and hope they aren't trying to scam you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, so we've been working on a secret project. We dropped a little bit of hints to it in a couple podcasts ago, and we are working on building a PVE style story mode game that will be a web based game that can utilize your DFK assets. Since we've been a part of, we got kind of pulled into, didn't do a lot of development, more just the marketing side of Fight Club. And we absolutely loved the community that was built there, loved contributing our ideas and thoughts to that project. And we're, obviously as sad as the rest of you that, um, you know, understandably, but, Joseph had to go find other opportunities. And so at that point, we decided, why not us? Why not? Can we create a game? And so we've developed we're calling it a story based game. And so it is an adventure where you travel screen by screen. And at the core, this will be a fast paced, low friction style game where players navigate dungeons in a storyboard format. In our future state, you're going to encounter statistical challenges, puzzles, and of course, battling. We're building a strategic game with interactive questions, letting players put their input into their own, I'll call it, adventure in DeFi Kingdoms. We're designing this to be a low cost arcade style of play and are hoping to release several modes that would allow users to earn more unique rewards in the future and create a leaderboard system around this. So, Nindorf, you and your partner in crime, Skillet, have been doing all of the development on the back end of this. I've been working on some character art and some stories for this, and I have a few images that I want to share. But first, I want to give you a chance to, shout out what you've been working on and maybe talk about the feature that you're most excited to share with the community.
Yeah, I think what we kind of come to realize is as Fight Club, kind of wound down very abruptly, honestly, was that we need something like this. DeFi Kingdoms, they're doing a good job of developing all of these features, but it takes time. I mean, and they're doing legitimate full scale development where everything has to be secure because these are real financial assets at stake. So that they have to go, cross their T's and dot their I's extremely well. You know, the third party tools like Fight Club and like what we're hoping to build here, we can kind of do it a little different. We can go a little faster, kind of keep people engaged, give people a reason to start to know and love these heroes even more. So I think that's for me what kind of got me into it. So I think that's what's got me the most excited. It's like it's interesting to see, just like it was for Fight Club, and I'll maybe say duels and arena a little bit before that, but although that didn't really feel like you were using your heroes, it was just kind of, it's just kind of random rolls, right? But this is definitely more of a, there's definitely luck involved, there's skill involved in terms of understanding what's happening and what choices you need to make. And I think a lot of it could even be in your hero selection. So I think those are the things that excite me about this. What about you?
Yeah, to me, I'm excited that there is a another opportunity to leverage the in-game assets, and that's something that all of us have invested in already. And so I'm really excited about this being a fairly low cost barrier of entry game mode for players to use. And we have a couple ideas of where we want this to go in the future in terms of the different kinds of game modes. Um, one of my game modes that I'm really excited about, I can't really talk about, it would be asking the devs, the DeFi Kingdoms team, for a lot that has not been accessed by a game so far. One of the game
Well
modes would
said.
be opening up raffle tickets. And then, one of them is just a conventional story mode where you get to play the story that we're crafting and really pouring our energy into trying to create some fun characters. And actually, that's one of the images that I want to share. I have here a sneak peek, two images here, and I'll go with the second image first. So up on screen, I'm sharing my favorite NPC that I've created so far. His name is Sergeant Bravoria, and he is the guard inside the castle. And so if you go navigate to the castle in Sarandale and you look off to the left hand side, sitting on a bench there, you're gonna find Sergeant Bavaria. And so we've given him a name because in the castle his name is just guard.
Yes.
And so when you first run into him, he's grumbling to himself, upset that people are just calling him guard. And he's a bit of I'll call it a sage or a trainer, for your heroes, and he's a character that we want to continue to be with you on your journeys. And so he's encouraging you to that one day your portrait might be hung on the wall there in the castle, and he's responsible for evaluating and training new recruits. And so in our tutorial mode, he's actually the NPC character who takes you through the battling tutorial, and then he'll end up meeting you in your future destination. So in the future town, the city on the map where this takes place, he might or might not get stationed there. And so he ends up helping you on your travels. And I'm really excited to dive into the story that I've been working on for him. And I'll leave it kind of like he says this. He goes, "But you look strong and able, but are you up to the test?" And he goes, "I believe in you. I can sense that you know something that you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life." So I've been really excited to take some. That's from a special movie quote. I will give out a. I'll give out a hero to someone who can guess what that movie. Guess the movie that that's from. We're trying to make this a lot of fun and draw influence from the things that we've known and loved, and try to tie it into DeFi Kingdom. So that's what I'm most excited about. Yeah. So anything else that you want to go through, or do you want me to go to my other picture?
Yeah, I think, this is kind of like the Star Wars legends. We have no say in creating lore for these guys, but we're gonna go ahead and do it anyway. And if they
Yeah.
decide to deem it actual lore and canon, well, awesome.
Zabu got it already. That's awesome. The Matrix. Well
Yeah.
done, Zabu. Yeah, you're right. It's probably not canon, so everyone knows. We have not
Wouldn't it
been
be awesome
granted
if it
any
was?
license that our characters will be part of canon. So, but we're gonna write their stories anyways. It'll be fun.
Yep. So yeah, explain this one here.
Oh yeah. So this is an image of the hero. Actually, so this is the image of the hero going into the portal before they come out of the portal at Serendale. And so you will start your journey as a hero who stumbles through into the portal, is met by the archdruid, and at that point, you're kind of regaining your. I have my ditch tiger in the background is playing with a very loud bag, so I don't know why she feels she needs to do that. And a ditch tiger, for anyone of you out there, is a cat. And so your hero stumbles through the portal, and they're trying to regain their bearings. And just like I am now, they're kind of fumbling around and searching for some answers. They talk with the archdruid, and it gives you a good chance to kind of it gives us a thematic way to tell the tutorial. And so it's like you're a new hero, you're showing up, and you're trying to check things out. So you're learning your ropes as you go along.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and I think I would say at the moment, we kind of we've had this concept of maybe some sort of seasons that kind of follow, allow us to add features over time because we're a small team, right? We don't have this is again side gig, right? We're just trying to make have some fun here. But I think that there's a couple modes that we want to have at at the launch here. Obviously, we're going to have some sort of combat where you're using your heroes and you're fighting um, monsters or bandits, if you will, or something like that. I'm not sure how we're going to describe them. Um, and then there's also going to be the adventure mode where you're actually, like you said, navigating and kind of there's dialogue and there are hints and things that you can kind of see. So I think there's those two modes for now, and I think you kind of said some other ones in the future. Maybe there's puzzles and things like that that we'll add in. But I think one of the main themes is where we want to make it somewhat competitive. We want to have a leaderboard so people can say, "Oh, I completed this. Yeah, I completed this chapter of this story in you know 35 turns, and everybody else took over 40." So I think that's kind of where we want it to be some fun like that too. If there's any more on that subject you want to touch, feel free.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how we can roll out the leaderboards in the future, and that's something that we're gonna also want to take feedback from the community on what you want to see. And we're going to be developing this, like you're saying, kind of one part of the story at a time, and we're going to call them chapters. So reach out to us if you have ideas. We are going to be opening up our battle testing. Probably within the next week. I don't know if that's too aggressive,
Yeah,
Nindorf.
I think so. No,
And so we're
we
probably
basically
going to,
got it all functional. We just
yeah,
got to make some touches, and also I would say keep in mind too, without any real resources, and I'm neither Skillet nor myself are huge into the graphical domain. So
turn
obviously you've
based,
seen
like
our website.
think old school turn based RPG, like slightly lower graphic quality than like Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you've seen our website.
yeah, you're here for the functionality and the use of your imagination. So we're gonna start opening up some alpha testing again. Like, this is not a AAA studio game. We want this to be a low cost arcade style game. Like, we want this to be fun, and we hope that everyone else wants to go on this adventure with us. Probably going to open up battle testing for a limited number of participants at first, somewhere between like 10 and 20. Probably open that up on our Discord, so you get a chance to play it. I don't think we're going to say, like, don't show anyone what's going on. We're fine with that. We just want to be able to really get input from our testers. And so we want this to be like a personal connection where you feel like you can talk with us. We'll answer your questions, and we'll go from there. So I could see, us spending the next month doing battle testing. We want that to be, you gotta have the line between, Neindorf and I were talking about this the other night. One part skill, one part strategy, and then just a sprinkling of luck in there too, where you need to be a little caught off guard by what an enemy might be able to do. We don't want them to be totally predictable, like we've seen in some fighting games. So that's what we got going so far. So reach out to us on Discord, hit us up if you're interested in doing battle testing. We'll get you involved, and like I said, we'll look to release that in the next week, and then hopefully we have the tutorial out. Maybe 4-6 weeks after that. I don't know. Like Neindorf said, this is our side gig. This is what this is our labor of love that we're sneaking in on nights and
This
weekends.
is fun time, man. This is where this is honestly, I wind down by writing code for for the website and for this game. This is as odd as that is to say.
Yeah. No, I find myself like kind of daydreaming about stories and heroes and like, oh, what could I have this character do? So, one of my other characters that I'm going to be introducing, uh, a botanist named Maribel, and I'm
Oh
really
yes.
excited to bring this character to life. Um, yeah, there's just so many different places we could go with this. So, thanks for listening to us. Thanks for hanging out on the stream this long. Really excited to share this with you guys, and we're obviously hopeful that the community is excited about this too. And we're gonna, just like the website, we're gonna react to the feedback that we get from the community out there, and we're gonna lean on you guys for help. And we're here to try to make this a fun, playable experience while we wait on the AAA studio version of the game to come out.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Talking about feedback, it's been a while since I mentioned it, but please, please, if you guys have feature requests for the website, post them in the Discord. It's kind of been a while since I've had any really large feature releases, but then again, I haven't gotten really a lot of suggestions either. So you guys kind of drive where the site goes more than I do at this point because we've got a lot of base support for a lot of base features that everybody have needed. So if you guys have ideas, push them out there. I know, I think it was maybe it was Sir Worm, I forget. Someone asked recently to see on the hero data page, you can see now who the summoner and the assistant are for heroes. And I added that to a couple places. Just again, someone wanted something and it's easy enough to do, we'll throw it in. So let us know.
All right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in tonight, everyone. And we hope you have a great evening. Neindorf, are you going to rip through some summons here tonight?
I'm not sure. I gotta look over my hero set. Yeah, the Gen ones kind of kept me busy too. I didn't have a chance to dig through them yet. So, it's possible.
All right. Well, maybe we'll just jump onto regular general voice chat in the ADFK Discord if anyone wants to talk after this. But I might not have any summons lined up. So if you do, great. If not, come chat with us and we'll hang out later. Have a good night, guys.
Yep, good night.